destructive, you know. That's the supplying of capital, and that's the part that is not needed anymore. There might have been once upon a time you needed private individuals to pool their resources to fund these kind of things. You don't need that anymore. We know how to collect taxes. We know how to set up banks and so on and so forth. That class is obsolete. Keynes is right. Those rentiers should be euthanized, you know. But there you got to grow. There you got to go to the bank, and you got to get the loan, and that's going to add to your capital base. So in effect, you're going to have to pay for that loan. So you've got to make the payoff. Is it worth it or not? Okay. And if it's worth it, that means you can produce more. But now you have this option. Do you want to grow in terms of consumption, or do you want to use that growth in terms? See, the kind of growth that is a growth of leisure is a healthy growth. You know. Well, see, what's interesting today, I mean, is that specialization in terms of technologies, almost anything can be done anywhere. I mean, not every place can grow bananas. That's true. Okay. But anywhere on earth you can produce a shirt. I mean, the fact that the technologies have to do, I mean, they're reproducible. We have more and more educated people who can pick up books and go to classes and learn how to do almost anything, you know. So my sense is, in a way, the technology is making it possible more and more production, you know, of all, not everything. Yeah, certainly you'll specialize in some areas and others will specialize in others. But the aim probably for a healthy, sustainable world would be more and more, as much local, regional production as possible, the better, you know, just because it's sort of healthier and you don't have to import things from all over the place, and it also gives, you know, some more genuine, you know, diversity in cultures and so on and so forth. Some places may make certain kind of choices and others may make other kind of choices, but everybody's got enough, okay, and has the possibility of decent, meaningful work, and that's what people need. I've been very much, I just recently reread and retaught, you know, E.F. Schumacher's Small is Beautiful, which, you know, is really a nice book. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, because it became a Bible of the kind of smallness, of regionalization, of the importance of good work for people, and that maybe our technologies ought to be oriented more, instead of labor saving, maybe the technologies ought to be making the work more interesting, you know. And making, since we've got massive unemployment, figuring out ways of using technologies to have take more people to produce these things than produced them before, but maybe with more craft, you know. I mean, instead of mass producing certain things, I mean, there's different possibilities. If you had some kind of actual democratic influence over the technology, what kind of technologies, if you're, you know, if workers get to decide, no, remember, capitalists get to decide what the technology is. And the only thing they're going to want is, we want to do as much as possible with as few of you guys as possible. So if we can lay off a bunch of you, all the better. But workers are never going to say that. I mean, that's empirically the case. Workers don't say, well, we don't need half of you guys. You know, we got the majority vote, 51%, you 49% out in the street. No, you're in a community. You have a sense of solidarity. You know, you want to, you know, you don't want to lay people off. You want to make work better for people if possible. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, capitalists don't think it's interesting. I mean, they're not going to say, let's democratize our firm, because then we don't get the money anymore. You know, I mean, so, and you do have a capitalist class. I mean, I don't know what it is here, but in the United States, 1% of the population now owns 40% of all the wealth. You know, 1%. Okay. I mean, it's an enormous concentration. And how do you generate your wealth? It's through these financial. You have shares of corporations, and they're making profits, and those dividends are coming to you, and you're loaning money to corporations. They're called bonds. You're making money. If all of that is gone, like, whoa, what am I going to? Well, people are starting, but it's hard to start up any kind of company. It's hard to start up, and it's, in a sense, harder to start a cooperative. I mean, first of all, you got to have the business sense to come up with a business that's actually going to work. And then also you have to have the interpersonal skills to help get people how to organize them, because it is a different culture. So, I mean, that's part of the problem. Yeah. Things are happening. Right, right. No, that's a big problem. That's a good question, you know, and two answers to that. One is, I mean, it's the one I kind of fantasize about, you know, this kind of massive stock market collapse, you know, with a political party then swept into power that says, hey, I know what to do, you know, because suddenly the stock market, all those pieces of paper that generate all your, have suddenly dropped to almost nothing. Okay. And it's one of the interesting things about the difference, say, between capitalism and feudalism. Under feudalism, the landowner, it was his land up there. He knew what it was, and everybody knew who he was, and he's going to fight to the death to keep it. Capitalist wealth is pieces of paper. I mean, I like to think Marx says the expropriators will be expropriated. I sometimes think maybe they'll expropriate themselves. Maybe they'll just screw things up so badly that the value of this stock drops to almost nothing. The government could easily step in and buy it up at twice its value, and it's still not worth much, okay? You could gain control that way, and in addition, people would be clamoring for the government to do something. I mean, free enterprise works so long as everything's going well, and the minute it starts going, oh, government, you got to step in, you got to do something. Okay, well, let's do something. Let's just buy all those stocks, turn those enterprises over to workers to run them democratically. All the people that have their pension funds tied up in this and are really screaming that you better do something. Well, yes, we'll give annuities to people like that. We'll take control of that, but we don't need these, you know, private capitalists anymore. So that's one scenario. The other more gradual scenarios, there's some various scenarios about having legislation saying that if workers want to buy out their companies, that a certain percent of the company profits, you know, be used to buy shares, that the workers would be held in trust till you reach a certain point where you've got majority control, and then you can phase out by buying out. There are various kind of schemes like that for doing it more gradually, which is a lot to recommend it, you know, if people are interested in doing this kind of thing. It is interesting, this notion of cooperatives is coming back. I mean, the year 2012 is going to be, UN is declaring the year of the cooperatives, because cooperatives have withstood the downturn better than certainly the credit unions and so on have been better off than the ordinary banks and so on. So, I don't know, there are various scenarios that, you know, I don't know, I can't predict, you know, how it'll come out or if it'll come out. No, it doesn't fit with the model. In fact, it points to something even more drastic. I mean, if you really thought about the taxes, this is this issue of what to do with this enormous concentration of wealth. You know, in my model, you wouldn't have that. No. Oh, that's right. No, if he wants to get rich, that's all right.